There's a lot of emphasis on AI tools right now. But one of the things that I've observed is that AI doesn't actually always increase business value. In fact, it can kill it. It does amplify what you already have. That can be leverage or it can be chaos. I reviewed about 15 different AI tools and identified 5 different capabilities that actually strengthen business value, and 2 actually that can be distraction and really kill your business. So the what I have seen is, if growth feels harder than it should, it's not about more technology. It's about whether or not your revenue systems are really ready to be accelerated. So the thing that I want to call out is that AI is not a growth strategy. It's a multiplier. It multiplies results, but it can also multiply chaos. Most companies experimenting with AI right now really don't have a technology problem. They have a systems problem. Remember that golden triangle is the people, process, and then technology. AI is that technology piece. You have to have people thinking through the strategy of what you need to build, then build those processes, then use the technology, in this case AI, to make it bigger, better, bolder. And so this mistake of starting with the tool without getting the process done or even the strategy aligned might not show up immediately in revenue, but it does show up when you want it least, which is during diligence or a forecast review, or when a potential buyer or investor starts asking uncomfortable questions. The risk that no one is talking about is that today buyers and investors rarely penalize a company for lacking advanced AI, but they will penalize you for instability. And so, like, when they're assessing the valuation of the value of your business, they'll discount metrics that change a lot over time by definition, pipeline math that requires a lot of explanation or hand waving, growth that depends on either a founder or a hero seller in order to achieve that, forecasts that feel optimistic but not really defensible, narratives that shift depending upon the audience in terms of who you're serving and how you're serving them. AI doesn't fix any of those problems. It actually amplifies those problems. If you layer AI onto an unstable revenue system, uncertainty increases faster than most leadership teams realize. The core mistake here is sort of tool first thinking. In growing companies, AI tools often get deployed when strategic priorities are still in flux. There's success metrics that are inconsistently defined. Revenue motions are still evolving. Ownership and accountability might be unclear. So the activity increases as you layer in these tools, but the clarity decreases. Your dashboards might get bigger and faster, but they're really less useful because the explanations get longer. That's not progress. That's really just noise at scale. So over the past several months, we reviewed 15 different AI tools across strategic planning, forecasting and metric governance, pipeline and bottleneck detection, revenue motion reinforcement, diligence preparation, and narrative alignment. And not through a productivity lens, but through what actually grows the enterprise value, how much your company is worth, not just how much you sell. The result is we created a research report and an executive briefing that breaks AI adoption into 2 categories: what increases value and what hurts value. Here are the 5 different capabilities we've seen that really increase the value of your enterprise and how much you sell. The first is AI for strategic clarity before execution, AI for metric definition and integrity. The third is AI for bottleneck detection. The fourth is using AI to harden your existing revenue motions, make them more robust and durable. And then the fifth is using AI for narrative consistency, both external and internal. These don't look flashy and they don't promise overnight growth spikes. But what they do is make a business easier to understand, easier to forecast, and easier to trust. And that trust is what builds your enterprise value and the valuations that you'll earn. There are actually 2 AI plays we see that oftentimes hurt companies, especially those sort of growing from 1 to 10 million. And it's not that the tools are bad, it's that they're sort of mistimed, the sequencing of it. And the first mistake that we see is scaling outbound marketing and sales activities with AI before your ideal customer profile and your deal discipline are really locked. So that leads to more meetings, more pipeline, but less signal quality. And that volume without discipline increases noise faster than insight. During diligence, that shows up as what looks like an inflated pipeline because you might have a lot in your pipeline, but your conversion metrics are terrible, which leads to really inconsistent conversion math when you are going from a really high volume of opportunities in pipeline to a very low volume of sales. It's hard to know what those conversion metrics really are. And this leads to forecasts that really require a lot of caveats and explanation. And that really can tank your value as you're talking to investors or other advisors. The second big mistake we see people make is scaling content with AI before their point of view and their category strategy and positioning are really clear. So this leads to more posts and more impressions, but it's really just more sameness. And investors and buyers don't pay a premium for your company's visibility. They pay for that clarity of story and the defensibility of your category design and positioning within the marketplace. What we see as sort of the pattern here is that the dividing line isn't how advanced the company's AI stack looks from the outside, dividing between companies that are successful with AI and those that are failing. It's whether the underlying revenue system is really ready for the amplification that AI brings to it. Companies that increase enterprise value with AI tend to have really explicit strategic priorities, some stable definitions of success metrics, repeatable revenue motions that they can pour some gas on, and then clear ownership and accountability within the organization for leading these initiatives. Companies that struggle with AI oftentimes will optimize activity before they define their strategy. They'll shift metrics midstream. They might sort of explain performance instead of defending it. And they rely a lot on sort of narrative flexibility instead of mathematical consistency as they're sort of navigating conversations with investors or potential business buyers. And again, business buyers, investors don't buy tools. They really buy confidence in the system that you've built. So if you're interested in this research report, the 15 different tools that can really grow your business and the 2 that could kill it, feel free to reach out. It's really designed for founders scaling towards a recapitalization, an investment round, or potentially a founder exit, CFOs who are responsible for forecast credibility, M&A advisors and value accelerators who see revenue fragility, and they see that surface during diligence. So if growth feels harder than it should at 2 million, 10 million, 20 million in annual revenues, the problem often isn't effort. It's the revenue systems behind that effort. AI can really strengthen those systems, or it can expose where they're weak. So if you're interested in learning more, send me a message, contact me here through the channel, or find me on LinkedIn. We'll be setting up a webinar with more details soon. Thanks so much.